What's up, y'all? I'm here for corporate battlefield lesson number 2. I had to wrestle between whether I was going to do the one where I worked at Yarrah's Papino or Egoland. So after much thinking, I decided instead of doing my second video on Egoland, instead I'm going to do it about Yarrah's casino when I worked there as valet. I think it's an equally important story, but including on my part. So I want to try to tell the story without, opening up scenarios. So anyway, when I worked at Yarrah's casino, I was one of the top workers. I started in a different section as a greeter, where we were greeting literally thousands of people every day. And I got promoted to a valet person. So while I was a valet, tips were good, pay was the same, baseline pay, but tips were good. And they had enough leeway in there for us to be able to, go through the motions without getting in trouble, because the insurance was really good and then everybody was rich. So that was in the valet section. So the key though was that we had to spend time running up and down stairs and retrieving vehicles and parking vehicles. And there was a set order to things. Of course, there was another employee there that was about the same height as me, and they decided that they wanted to start splitting things into teams. And what ended up happening was the two people that were there to work, which was me and another person who happened to be immunocompromised, who didn't want to participate in teams, we just wanted to work, got put on a team. And then the competitive people got put on a different team. And the bad thing about this was because you can rearrange names on the list because it was like magnetic versus it being other things and stuff like that. It boiled down to the amount of pull that either one of us had at any point in time. And so they decided that they wanted to start a fight with me in a place where there were no cameras. Mind you, again, throughout this entire state and time, I focus on my work. I do very good on my work. But because of who and how I am, I always end up in HR when I work at a large corporation, just because there's usually people there in some capacity that I don't fit into their category of normal, and then they try me. And just because I'm a kind person, I guess they assume that I'm not going to do anything to protect myself. Long story short, after he did that, he was afraid that I was going to say something and decided to say something first. And of course, because of this, and there was no footage to prove it, both of us ended up losing our jobs. Of course, I felt some type of way at this time, but also literally at this time, I had about 4 part-time jobs. So, it wasn't the end of my world, but it was one of my favorite jobs, both because of the benefits and because, for example, I got paid to dance in front of the club that they have in the center of Yarrah's casino, right? So I knew all of the different places to be. I knew the map of the area because you needed a map to be able to navigate. And then I was actually actively working in multiple places. The same thing happened when I was in the Periton hotel, but different things happened there, of course. But meaning that I'm always in a position, because of my intelligence, to be at a higher functioning position. But I previously used to run into either an intimidated manager, which of course, because of the power imbalance, that would cause a problem one way or another, usually on their part, not on mine. Or there was another person that was working with me who didn't understand me, and they didn't want to take the time to understand me. Of course, I was very green at this time, so I also didn't know how to express myself in such a way for them to understand, because I'm only just now turning 30, so you can imagine I was about 21 at that time, so there was no way to communicate these things accurately, or in a way where I was not self-conscious, or etc., etc., etc. So the only good thing that came out of that, aside from him also getting fired, which was a consolation prize for me, was also that, like, literally this was in New Orleans, so the casino's right on the pier. It's like literally number 1 is the number of the building, like in the entire city, and so it's right off of a pier. And about a week later, all the newspapers stated that a giant pothole fell into the city, like into the section that I happened to be like into ballet. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, but of course from this corporate battlefield, I learned a few things. I learned that always have your own evidence of things, and I also learned that if there's no way to prove stuff, they'll likely just fire both people in the scenario. So yeah, that's all for this one. The other one was more interesting in terms of a lot of things, but I am not going to use people like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.